Have you ever sat in a quiet room and heard the sound of a clock? Each little sound feels soft, but when you listen carefully, it almost feels alive. It never stops. It doesn't need to rest. It doesn't ask for a break. It just keeps going. Second after second. Minute after minute. Hour after hour. The clock keeps moving, even when we don't. Now, imagine this. It's a Sunday morning. The sun is slowly touching your face through the curtain. You open your eyes. For a moment, the world feels peaceful. No work. No pressure. Just time. You think, I'll get up soon. But then your phone lights up. Messages, notifications, reminders. You scroll for a few minutes, then maybe 10, then 30. Before you know it, half your morning is gone. You whisper to yourself, where did my time go? This moment, this feeling, is something almost everyone knows. We all have the same 24 hours. But somehow, some people move forward fast while others stay in the same place. Why? It's not about luck. It's not even about talent. It's about something more invisible, how we use our time. Time is like water. If you open your hands, it slips away. But if you hold it with care, you can drink it, feel it, and use it to grow something beautiful. When I was younger, I used to waste a lot of time. I thought I had plenty. I would say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start later. But tomorrow never came. Days passed. Weeks passed. And one day, I looked back and realized time had moved, but I hadn't. Have you ever felt that too? That quiet pain of realizing you could have done more? Not because you were lazy, but because you didn't really see the value of time? If you have, don't worry. This story is not about regret. It's about change. About taking control of your minutes before they disappear. Because time is not your enemy. Time is your greatest teacher. Let's take a small journey together, a journey through time itself. Not with numbers and calendars, but with stories, feelings, and realizations. By the end, you'll see that mastering your time is not just about schedules or alarms. It's about mastering yourself. So, let's begin. I remember one story that changed the way I saw time forever. A man once met a wise teacher. The man said, I feel lost. I'm always busy, but I never feel I'm moving forward. The teacher smiled and gave him a small jar. Then he gave him a few big stones, some small pebbles, and a handful of sand. He said, try to fill the jar. The man poured the sand first, then the small pebbles, then the big stones. But when he tried to close the jar, it was already full. The stones didn't fit. The teacher said, now try again. This time, the man started with the big stones first. Then he added the small pebbles. Finally, he poured the sand. Everything fit perfectly. The teacher said softly, this jar is your life. The big stones are your most important things, your dreams, your health, your family, your purpose. The small pebbles are your small goals. The sand is everything else, distractions, noise, little things that don't matter much. If you fill your jar with sand first, there's no room for what really matters. But if you fill it with the big stones first, everything else will still fit. The man stayed silent. He understood. We all have a jar like that. Every morning, it's empty. Every night, it's full. The question is, what are you putting inside? Many people fill it with noise, endless scrolling, small worries, things that steal energy but give nothing back. And at the end of the day, they wonder why they feel tired but unfulfilled. Maybe you do too sometimes. I know I did. But here's the truth, you don't need to do more. You just need to do what matters. Take one simple idea with you. Time is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right things. Let's pause for a moment. I want you to imagine something. You are standing in front of a giant hourglass. You know, the kind with sand slowly falling from one side to another. Each grain of sand is 1 second of your life. Once it falls, you can never get it back. Now, look closely. The sand that has already fallen, that's your past. You can't change it. You can learn from it, but you can't bring it back. The sand that's still above, that's your future. You can't touch it yet. You can only imagine it. But the sand in the middle, falling right now, that's your present moment. That's where your life truly happens. And this is where most people forget to live. They spend half their energy thinking about the past and the other half worrying about the future. But real life, real time, only exists in this small space between the two. When you understand this, something changes. You stop running. You start breathing. You start noticing. Because every moment you live with awareness becomes longer, deeper, richer. Think about it. A 1-minute sunset can feel like forever when you're truly watching it. But a whole day on your phone can disappear in seconds. It's not about how much time you have. It's about how alive you are inside that time. Let me tell you another small story. There was a young woman named Maya. She was always busy, always running from one thing to another. Her days were full, but her heart was empty. She felt like time was her enemy. Every day was the same: work, traffic, scrolling, sleep. One evening, she came home late, exhausted. She sat on her bed and saw her little notebook lying beside her. She hadn't written in it for months. But that night, she opened it and wrote just one question: "Where is my time going?" She looked at that sentence and realized she didn't know. She couldn't answer. So she decided to start watching her time. For 1 week, she wrote down how she spent every hour. What she found surprised her. She wasn't wasting time in big ways. No, she was losing it in small pieces. 10 minutes of scrolling here. 15 minutes of worry there. Little by little, her life was being eaten by invisible moments. That's when she made a change. She didn't decide to become super productive. She just decided to protect her time. Like a small candle flame, she didn't want it to burn out too soon. She started saying no to small distractions. She started waking up early, just 10 minutes earlier, to sit quietly and breathe before the day began. She deleted one app. She made one small plan each morning. And slowly, everything changed. She didn't get more time. She just got more life inside her time. When she looked in the mirror, she smiled and whispered, "I'm finally living." Maybe you can try what Maya did. You don't need a special tool. Just awareness. Tonight, when you finish listening to this, sit quietly for 1 minute. Ask yourself, where did my time go today? You might discover that most of your minutes went to things that didn't really matter. And that's okay. The first step to change is to see clearly. Tomorrow, try this. Protect just 1 hour. 1 hour that belongs only to you. You can use it to learn, to walk, to think, to dream, to rest, but make it yours. If you can protect 1 hour, you can protect your life. Because time is not something you find. It's something you create. You see, mastering your time is not about being perfect. It's about being present. It's not about controlling every second. It's about respecting every second. Think of time as your best friend. It walks beside you quietly. It gives you gifts, mornings, sunsets, laughter, silence. But it also asks for something in return: attention. When you give your attention to your time, it becomes beautiful. When you ignore it, it becomes a blur. So, as you move forward on your English journey and your life journey, remember this: your time is your story. You are the writer. You decide what kind of story it becomes. Will it be a story of delay and distraction? Or a story of focus and growth? You choose every day, every minute, every tick of the clock. And right now, in this moment, as you listen to these words, your new story is already beginning. Tick, tick, tick. Your time is now. Do you know what the most expensive thing in the world is? It's not gold. It's not diamonds. It's not even money. It's time, because once it's gone, you can never buy it back. Most people don't realize this until it's too late. They think, oh, I still have tomorrow. I still have next week. I still have next year. But time doesn't stop to wait for anyone. It keeps moving quietly and constantly, like a river that never flows backward. When we waste time, we don't always see the loss right away. It doesn't hurt immediately. It doesn't send us a bill. But one day, we look back, and we feel something deep inside, a quiet sadness. We realize that we didn't lose time. We lost chances. We lost moments. We lost little pieces of ourselves. I remember a man named Daniel. He worked in a small office. Every morning, he said the same thing to himself: I'll start working on my dreams soon. He had always wanted to write a book. He had ideas, he had stories, he even had a notebook full of notes. But after work, he always felt tired. So he watched TV, scrolled his phone, and told himself, maybe tomorrow. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Years passed. And one evening, he found that same notebook in an old drawer. The pages were still empty. He held it in his hands and smiled sadly. He whispered, I guess I ran out of tomorrows. That sentence stayed with me. I ran out of tomorrows. We often think we have endless tomorrows, but the truth is our time is limited. Not in a scary way, but in a real, human way. We have only so many mornings, so many sunsets, so many chances to do what matters. And every time we say, I'll do it later, we make a quiet trade. We give away a piece of our future for a moment of comfort. That's the hidden cost of wasted time. It's invisible, but it's real. Let's think about it together. Have you ever opened your phone just to check something quickly and then suddenly an hour was gone? Or maybe you started watching one video and then another and then another. You didn't plan it. It just happened. Afterwards, you feel a little empty, right? Not because watching a video is bad, but because deep down, you know your time could have been something more. That small emptiness, that tiny voice inside saying, I could have used this better, is your inner wisdom speaking. It's reminding you that time is valuable, that your life deserves more than small distractions. We don't notice how much these small moments add up. Let's do a simple thought experiment. Imagine you waste just 30 minutes a day doing something meaningless, scrolling, complaining, overthinking. 30 minutes doesn't sound like much, right? But 30 minutes a day is 3.5 hours a week. That's 14 hours a month. That's more than 7 full days every year. A whole week of your life, gone to nothing. Every year. Now imagine 10 years later. That's 70 days over 2 months, just disappeared. You could have learned a new language. You could have traveled somewhere new. You could have written your own story. But instead, you just let time quietly slip away. When I first realized this, it hit me hard. Because I used to waste time every day too. I thought it didn't matter, it's just 10 minutes. But 10 minutes, repeated every day, is like a slow leak in a boat. At first, you don't see the water. But one day, you're sinking. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning that not doing something is also a decision. If you don't start that project, you're deciding not to. If you don't call your friend, you're deciding to stay distant. If you don't take care of your health, you're deciding to let it fade. Time moves whether you act or not. And the moments you don't use are quietly filled with something else, usually regret. But don't worry. This is not a story of guilt. It's a story of awakening. Because once you see time clearly, you can never unsee it. You begin to treat it with care. You begin to live differently. Let me share another story with you. This one about a young man named Amir. Amir was a dreamer. He always talked about big ideas. One day, I'll start my business, he would say. One day, I'll travel. One day, I'll learn English and speak confidently. But that one day never came. Every time life got hard, he said, I'll wait until the right moment. Then one afternoon, he met his old school friend, Rafi. They hadn't seen each other in years. Rafi had started a small online shop. It wasn't perfect, but it was growing. Amir said, "Wow, you're lucky. You're already successful." Rafi laughed and said, "It's not luck, my friend. It's just small steps. I started when I didn't feel ready." That sentence changed everything for Amir. He realized that later was not a time, it was an excuse. So he decided to try. He started small, just 1 hour every evening after work. He used that time to learn, plan, and take action. He made mistakes. Many days he felt tired. But he kept going. A year later, his small dream became real. And one day, he said to himself, "I'm glad I didn't wait for the perfect time." Because the perfect time never comes. You make it. Think about that for a moment. The perfect time never comes. You make it. How many dreams are sleeping inside you right now, waiting for the right moment? How many ideas are waiting for a better day, a better mood, a better situation? Here's the truth. There is no better time than now. The clock will never say, "This is your perfect hour." You have to choose it yourself. Because every time you delay something important, you are paying with your most precious resource, your time. That's why wasting time is not just losing minutes. It's losing chances to grow, to love, to live. But there's something else we often forget. Wasted time doesn't only steal our dreams, it also steals our peace. Have you ever wasted a day and then felt tired, guilty, or restless? It's not your body that's tired, it's your heart. Because deep inside, you know that your time was meant for something better. When we don't use our time wisely, our mind becomes noisy. We start to feel anxious. We start to feel like we're behind. Like everyone else is moving forward and we're stuck. But time doesn't judge you. It doesn't hate you. It simply keeps flowing. It gives you another chance every new morning. That's the beauty of time. It never stops giving you new beginnings. So, let's ask a new question. How can we stop wasting time? The answer is not about strict schedules or hard rules. It's about awareness. When you waste time, don't just say, "I wasted it." Ask why. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're afraid to start. Maybe you're not clear about what really matters. Understanding your why helps you take back control. If you waste time because you're tired, rest, but rest with purpose. If you waste time because you're afraid, remind yourself that fear is normal. Everyone feels it before something great. If you waste time because you're confused, pause, think, and write down what truly matters. Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. The moment you see clearly, you stop stumbling. Let's do a small reflection together right now. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Think of one thing you've been delaying, something that lives in your mind, but you haven't started yet. It could be learning a new skill, calling someone you miss, or taking care of your health. Now, imagine your future self 1 year from now. Imagine looking back and realizing you finally did it. You took the first step. You kept going. You made it happen. How would that feel? Peaceful? Proud? Free? That feeling, that sense of peace, is the true reward of using your time wisely. It's not about being busy all the time. It's about doing the things that make your heart feel alive. Remember this simple sentence: every moment you waste today becomes a piece of regret tomorrow. But here's the good news: every moment you use well today becomes a piece of freedom tomorrow. So the next time you're about to waste time, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this helping my future self? If the answer is no, then gently walk away. Protect your time like treasure, because it is. At the end of the day, time doesn't just pass. It shapes you. It teaches you. It reminds you that every small choice matters. Every moment you say yes or no, you're building your future. So make your choices with care, with love, with attention. Because one day, when you look back, you will see that the story of your life was written not in big moments, but in small ones, in the quiet hours you chose to use well. And when that day comes, you'll smile and say, "I didn't waste my time. I lived it." Sometimes, People think that changing their life means doing something big, like moving to a new city, starting a company, or climbing a mountain. But the truth is, most big changes begin in the smallest moments. It's not the big things that build your future. It's the little ones, the quiet choices you make every single day. Think about it. A book is not written in one day. It's written one word at a time. A tree doesn't grow in 1 hour. It grows 1 inch at a time. And a person doesn't change in one moment. They change one decision at a time. The small moments are where your real power lives. One morning, I met a woman named Elena at a small cafe. She looked calm, but I could tell she was carrying a heavy story. She told me that just a few years earlier, her life was full of noise. She worked long hours, never took breaks, and always said she had no time. She wanted to be fit, she wanted to learn English, she wanted to feel happy again, but she said she was too busy. Then one day, she heard her little daughter say something simple that changed everything. "Mom," the girl said, "you're always busy. When will you have time to play with me?" Elena froze. She looked at her daughter's eyes and saw the truth. Her time was running away, not because she didn't have enough of it, but because she wasn't using it for what mattered most. That night, she decided to make a small change. She started with just 10 minutes. Every evening, no matter how tired she felt, she spent 10 minutes reading stories with her daughter. At first, it felt small. But soon, those 10 minutes became something magical. They laughed together. They talked. They connected. After a few weeks, something else changed too. Elena started using her time better in other parts of her day. She stopped wasting small minutes at work. She started waking up a little earlier to walk outside. She began listening to English podcasts while cooking. Slowly, without noticing, her life became lighter, calmer, and fuller. She told me it all started with 10 minutes. That story always reminds me that we don't need more hours. We just need more meaning inside the hours we already have. A small habit, when done with love and attention, can change your entire direction. Let's take a simple example. Imagine two people. Both have the same amount of time every day. The first person says, "I don't have time to learn English." The second person says, "I'll learn for 10 minutes today." 10 minutes might sound small, but after 1 year, that person will have practiced for 60 hours. 60 hours of growth, step by step, without pressure, without waiting for a better day. That's the power of small moments. They look small today, but in time, they become something huge. You see, time is like a mirror. It shows you what you give it. If you give it fear, it reflects delay. If you give it love, it reflects growth. That's why the secret to mastering time is not speed, it's consistency. Let me tell you another story about a man named Samuel. Samuel used to say, "I'm not good at anything." He worked at a store and spent most of his evenings watching random videos online. One day, his friend asked him, "What do you really want to do?" Samuel thought for a moment and said, "I've always wanted to play the guitar." His friend smiled and said, "Then start today." Samuel laughed. "I can't learn now," he said. "I'm too old, too busy, and I have no time." But his friend said, "Then just play for 5 minutes." 5 minutes. That sounded easy enough. So that night, Samuel took his old guitar out of the closet, cleaned it, and played for 5 minutes. The next day, he played again. Just 5 minutes. Some days, he played longer. Some days, he played less. But he never stopped. A year later, Samuel could play full songs. His fingers moved easily, and his face shone with pride. He told me once, "I wasted so many years waiting for the right moment. But all I needed was 5 minutes and a little bit of heart." Here's the truth. Small moments are not small at all. They're seeds. When you plant a small seed every day, one day you'll find yourself standing in a forest of results. So, let's bring this idea closer to your own life. What is one thing you want to improve right now? Your English? Your health? Your focus? Whatever it is, promise yourself this. You will give it at least 10 minutes every day. 10 minutes of full attention. No phone. No noise. Just you and your goal. At first, it might not feel like much. But one day, you'll look back and realize that small moment was the beginning of something powerful. Now, let's talk about a secret that many people don't know. The human brain loves small wins. Every time you complete a small task, your brain feels happy. It gives you energy to do more. That's why starting small is the smartest way to use your time. If you try to change everything at once, you get tired and stop. But if you start small, your brain says, "This feels good. Let's do it again." That's how success grows, slowly, naturally, and joyfully. You don't climb a mountain by jumping. You climb it by taking one small step and then another. And one day, when you reach the top and look back, you'll see that every little step mattered. Every small moment was a part of your journey. Let's imagine something together. It's morning. The sun is rising. You wake up and sit quietly for a minute before touching your phone. You take a deep breath. You smile. You say to yourself, "Today, I will use my time well." Then you pick one small thing to do, maybe review 5 new English words. Maybe walk for 10 minutes. Maybe call someone you love. You do it slowly, calmly, fully. That's it. You just made your first victory of the day. And something inside you changes. You feel stronger. You feel clear. You feel alive. That's how a new life begins, not in one big moment, but in many small ones that build your inner strength, your focus, and your peace. Many people say they don't have time. But often, what they really mean is they don't have clarity. When you don't know what matters most, you waste time easily. But when you're clear, even 10 minutes becomes gold. Clarity is like a compass. It shows you where to walk. So before you start your day, take 1 minute to ask yourself, what truly matters to me today? Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's taking care of your health. Maybe it's spending real time with your family. Whatever it is, make time for it, even a little. Because one day, you'll see that those small minutes created your big life. Let me share one last small story for this section. There was once a teacher who told his students, "I will give you a secret that can change your life." Everyone became excited. The teacher smiled and said, "Here it is, do something good for just 5 minutes a day and never stop." The students laughed. "That's it?" they asked. He nodded. "Yes, because 5 minutes of truth every day is better than 5 hours of pretending once in a while." Years later, those students realized how wise that lesson was. One practiced music. Another wrote a book. Another learned a new language. And every one of them said the same thing. The small minutes made the big difference. So, let's slow down for a moment. Look around you right now. Maybe you're in your room. Maybe walking outside. Maybe listening with your headphones on. Wherever you are, time is passing softly. Every sound you hear, every breath you take, is part of this small moment. You can choose what this moment means. You can waste it, or you can fill it with meaning. And if you fill enough small moments with love, awareness, and purpose, your entire life will change. Because time is not a thing to control. It's a gift to use. Every second can become a step toward who you want to be. So, from today, start small. Protect your little minutes. Don't say, "I'll do it tomorrow." Say, "I'll do it now, even for a short time." Because once you begin, you've already won. And when you look back later, you'll realize that the small moments weren't just moments, they were miracles in disguise. Time is not just something that lives on a clock. It also lives inside your mind. 2 people can live the same 24 hours. One feels rich with time, the other feels poor. One feels calm and focused, the other feels stressed and lost. The difference is not in the hours, it's in the mindset. Your mindset is the lens through which you see time. And that lens changes everything. Let me tell you a story about a man named Alex. Alex was always rushing. He ran to work, ran through meetings, ran through life. Every morning, he woke up already tired. He would look at the clock and think, I'm late. I'm behind. I don't have enough time. No matter what he did, it never felt like enough. One weekend, Alex's friend invited him to go hiking in the mountains. Alex didn't want to go. I don't have time, he said. But his friend laughed and replied, that's exactly why you need to come. So Alex went. At first, he walked quickly, as if he were racing with the wind. His friend stopped him and said, slow down. You're not in the office. Look around. Alex looked up. The mountains were huge and silent. The air was fresh. For the first time in a long time, he stopped and truly breathed. Something strange happened then. He looked at his watch, and for the first time, he didn't care what time it was. He realized that the problem wasn't time itself. The problem was how he thought about time. His mind had turned time into a race. But life isn't a race. Life is a rhythm. When he returned home, he decided to change one thing, his mindset. Instead of saying, I don't have time, he started saying, I have time for what matters. That small change in thought changed everything. He stopped feeling like time was his enemy. He started treating time as his partner. So, let's talk about this idea. The words you use in your mind shape your experience of time. If you always say, I'm busy, you will always feel busy. If you always say, I don't have time, you will always feel short of time. But if you say, I choose where my time goes, your brain starts to believe it, and suddenly, you begin to find time. It's a small language shift, but it's powerful. Our thoughts are like seeds. If you plant thoughts of stress, your life grows more stress. If you plant thoughts of control and calm, your life grows peace. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how time feels different depending on your mood? When you're happy, time flies. When you're bored, it slows down. When you're focused, it feels perfect, smooth, and balanced. That's because time doesn't only move on the outside. It also moves on the inside. When your mind is calm, 1 hour can feel full and rich. But when your mind is anxious, even 1 minute feels heavy. That's why mastering your time begins with mastering your mind. A teacher once told me something beautiful. He said, time expands and shrinks depending on your attention. At first, I didn't understand. But then I saw it in my own life. When I was rushing, I always felt like I had no time. But when I slowed down and focused on one thing, really focused, time felt slower. I could do more, and yet I felt peaceful. You see, attention is like sunlight. Whatever you shine it on grows. If you shine it on chaos, your life feels chaotic. If you shine it on purpose, your life feels meaningful. And meaning makes time feel bigger. There was once a monk who lived in a mountain temple. A visitor came and said, you must have so much time here. No phones, no deadlines, no noise. The monk smiled and said, time is not about silence or noise. It's about how I use each breath. The visitor looked confused. The monk continued, every breath can be a moment of peace or a moment of worry. I decide which one. That sentence stayed with me for years. I decide which one. It reminded me that we are not victims of time. We are creators of time. Now, let's think about your own life. What kind of relationship do you have with time? Do you feel like time is chasing you? Or do you walk beside it calmly? If you often feel rushed, ask yourself, what's the story you keep telling yourself? Maybe you say, I'm always late. Or, I never finish on time. Every time you repeat that, Your brain starts to believe it. But what if you change the story? What if you said, I move at the right speed for me? Or, I always have time for what truly matters. Try saying that now quietly. I have time for what truly matters. Feels different, doesn't it? This is the power of mindset. When you believe you have control, your actions follow that belief. You stop wasting time because you respect it. Here's something interesting. Studies show that people who feel grateful for time, instead of stressed by it, actually live more productive and peaceful lives. Gratitude makes your time feel longer. Stress makes it feel shorter. It's like two people waiting for the same train. One is angry that it's late. The other is happy to have a few extra minutes to breathe. Same time, different mindset. And that difference changes everything. So, the next time you're waiting, instead of saying, I'm wasting time, try saying, I'm resting in time. Your body relaxes. Your mind clears. And in that calmness, new ideas come. Time rewards those who respect it with attention. Let me tell you another story about a woman named Grace. Grace worked in a busy hospital. Her days were full of patients, calls, and endless movement. One evening, she felt overwhelmed and thought, I can't keep up. I'm drowning in time. Her mentor, an older nurse, saw her stress and said something simple. Grace, time is like your heartbeat. If you rush it, it hurts. If you listen to it, it helps. Those words changed her life. From that day, Grace started taking small pauses between her tasks. Just 5 deep breaths. She would look around, notice her surroundings, and remind herself, this moment is also my time. Slowly, her stress began to fade. She didn't work faster, but she worked better. Her patients noticed her calm energy. She smiled more. And when people asked how she managed everything, she said, I stopped fighting time. I started dancing with it. Isn't that beautiful? Dancing with time. Maybe that's what we all need to do. Stop fighting time and start dancing with it. That doesn't mean we should forget our goals or become lazy. It means learning to move with the rhythm of life instead of against it. When you rush, you lose control. When you flow, you find peace. So from now on, whenever you feel like time is running away, pause and ask yourself, am I fighting time or flowing with it? You'll notice that the answer changes your energy immediately. There's another truth about mindset and time. How you think about the past and the future also changes how you use your present. Some people live stuck in the past. They replay old mistakes, old regrets. Others live too far in the future, always worried about what's next. But both forget the most important place, the present. Your power lives here, in this moment. The more you return to it, the stronger your control over time becomes. That's why people who practice mindfulness, even for a few minutes a day, often feel like they have more time. They train their mind to be here, not there. Try this simple exercise right now as you listen. Take a slow breath in and out. Look around you. Notice something beautiful, a sound, a light, a color. Say quietly, this moment is mine. That's it. You just practiced being the master of your time. Because the real secret to time mastery is not doing more. It's being more present. When you're present, every second becomes full. You see more, feel more, and live more. That's how time becomes your friend again. Let me tell you something personal. For years, I used to say, I'm too busy. I said it so often that I started to believe it. One day, my mentor asked me, busy doing what? I couldn't answer. I realized I wasn't busy living, I was busy rushing. So I started changing my words. Instead of saying, I'm busy, I started saying, I'm focused. That one change changed my energy. I stopped feeling trapped. I started feeling powerful. And soon, my time felt lighter. Because words create worlds. When you speak differently about time, you start to live differently inside it. So, as you move through your day, remember these 3 sentences. I have time for what truly matters. I flow with time, not against it. Every moment is a chance to begin again. Say them often. Say them slowly. Let them become your truth. Because once your mindset aligns with time, everything else begins to move smoothly. Your days become calmer. Your focus becomes stronger. Your joy becomes deeper. And that's when you truly start living, not by the clock, but by your heart. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that time alone isn't enough. You can't just have time, you must shape it. And the way you shape it is through your daily habits. Let me begin with a story. There was once a woman named Lena. She was kind, creative, and full of ideas. Every new day, she promised herself, "Today I will be focused." But every night, she went to bed wondering where the hours had gone. Her phone would take her attention. Social media would eat her time. She would start one thing, then jump to another. Her mind felt like a room full of open doors, and she didn't know which one to walk through. One morning, she decided to change. She woke up early, made a cup of tea, and sat quietly by the window. For the first time in months, she didn't reach for her phone. She just sat there, breathing, listening to the sound of birds outside. She said softly, "Today, I choose one thing that truly matters." That simple sentence became her turning point. From that day on, Lena began to plan her time with more love and care, not like a soldier planning a battle, but like an artist painting a day. She began to understand that focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. Many of us try to fill every hour, every minute, every small empty space. But focus and balance come when you learn to leave space to think, to rest, to breathe. Let's imagine your day as a jar. If you fill it first with sand, the little unimportant things, you won't have room for the big stones, like family, health, learning, and dreams. But if you start with the big stones first, the sand will still find its way in. That's how balance works. Ask yourself right now, what are the big stones in my life? What truly matters to me? Maybe it's your health, your family, your language learning, your dream to start something new. When you know what matters most, your time begins to find balance. There's a secret here. Balance is not something you find. It's something you create, moment by moment. Think of your life like a seesaw. Sometimes one side goes up, sometimes down. That's normal. Balance doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you're aware of where your energy is going. You can't be perfect every day, but you can be present every day. That's what real balance is: awareness, not perfection. Now let's talk about focus, that beautiful, powerful skill that makes time stretch. Have you ever been so deep in something, a good book, a project, a walk, that you lost track of time? That's the magic of focus. When you're focused, your energy becomes light and strong. 1 hour of deep focus is more powerful than 5 hours of distracted work. But focus doesn't come from force. It comes from clarity. You can't focus when your mind is full of noise. That's why you must clear the noise first. Here's a small exercise I want you to try, something very simple. Before you start any task, ask yourself 3 questions. What is the one thing I want to finish right now? Why does it matter? How will I feel when I finish it? Then take a deep breath and begin. When you give your brain a clear goal, it stops running in circles. It knows where to go. You will be surprised how peaceful it feels when your mind is not fighting with 10 things at once. There's a story about a famous Japanese craftsman who made wooden bowls by hand. Someone asked him, "How do you work with such calm?" He said, "When I carve the wood, I carve the wood. When I rest, I rest. When I drink tea, I drink tea." That sounds simple, but it's the secret of deep focus, doing one thing fully. When you speak English, speak English. When you rest, rest. When you study, study. When you eat, eat. That's how you bring balance and beauty into your time. But let's be honest, focus is not easy in our world today. Every few seconds, something calls for your attention: messages, videos, emails, noise. You open your phone for 1 minute and suddenly 30 minutes are gone. We live in a time where attention is the new gold. Whoever controls your attention controls your life. That's why learning to protect your focus is an act of freedom. You can start small. Maybe turn off notifications for a few hours. Maybe keep your phone in another room when you study or read. Maybe spend the first 10 minutes of the day without looking at a screen. At first, it feels strange, almost empty. But soon, that emptiness becomes peace. And in that peace, focus grows. Lena, the woman from our story, began doing something new. She created a focus hour every morning. During that 1 hour, she did only one thing: writing. No phone, no music, no messages. Just her and her thoughts. The first few days were difficult. Her mind wandered. But after a week, she noticed something powerful. She was not only finishing her writing faster, but her whole day felt lighter. Because when you start your day with focus, it becomes your rhythm. She told her friend, "It's like giving my mind a clean start before the world becomes noisy." So here's something you can do too. Create your own focus hour. It doesn't have to be in the morning. Choose any time when your energy feels high. Make it simple. Just 1 hour. One task. One goal. Before you begin, say to yourself, "This 1 hour is my gift to my future self." And when you finish, celebrate it. Smile, stretch, breathe. Your brain will start to associate focus with joy, not pressure. Soon, you'll crave that feeling again. And that's how new habits are born, not from willpower, but from satisfaction. Now, let's talk about rest, the part of time we often forget. Many people think productivity means doing more. But in truth, productivity means doing enough and then stopping. Rest is not wasting time. Rest is refilling time. Think of a farmer. He doesn't plant seeds every day. Some days he lets the soil rest so it can grow stronger. You are the same. You can't grow if you never pause. So, plan your rest like you plan your work. Take short breaks. Stretch. Walk. Listen to quiet. When you rest, your brain sorts your thoughts. It connects ideas you didn't even know were connected. That's why great ideas often appear in the shower or during a walk. Your mind finally has space to breathe. Balance also means saying no sometimes. If you say yes to everything, your time becomes crowded. Your focus breaks. Learning to say no politely is one of the strongest time skills you can learn. Because every yes is a promise of your time. And your time is your life. So before saying yes, pause and ask, does this serve my purpose? Does this align with my values? If not, it's okay to say no. A gentle no now saves many tired yes later. One day, Lena's friend asked her to join a project. It sounded exciting, but she already had too many tasks. For a moment, she felt guilty. But then she remembered her rule. If it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. So she smiled and said, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't give this my full energy right now." Her friend understood. And Lena kept her balance. You see, focus is not only about what you do, It's also about what you don't do. Let's take a breath together. In and out. Now imagine your ideal day. From morning to night. What would it look like if your time flowed smoothly, with focus and calm? What habits would you keep? What distractions would you remove? This picture you see in your mind, that's the life you can build. One small decision at a time. Remember this simple rhythm. Focus. Pause. Reflect. Adjust. That's how you build balance. If you lose focus, it's okay. If you have a messy day, it's okay. Balance isn't about being perfect. It's about coming back again and again. Even one small act of awareness brings you closer to peace. Because when you begin to manage your time with kindness, your life becomes not just organized, but meaningful. So, before we close this section, here are 3 gentle reminders for you. Protect your focus. It's your most valuable energy. Plan your rest. It's part of your productivity. Choose your big stones first. Let the rest fit around them. Say them with me slowly. I protect my focus. I plan my rest. I choose my big stones first. Good. Now, feel that sense of calm in your mind. That's the sound of balance returning. When your day moves with focus and balance, time stops feeling like a storm. It starts feeling like a gentle tide, flowing, peaceful, and full of possibility. Sometimes, when people talk about time, they think about big goals, success, achievements, dreams. But the truth is, life doesn't happen in big moments. Life happens in the small ones. The small decisions, the small choices, the small pauses, they build your future quietly, day by day. You don't need to control the whole year. You only need to care for this moment. Let me tell you a story about a man named Omar. Omar always dreamed of becoming a great photographer. He loved capturing the colors of life, faces, nature, sunlight after rain. But his job at an office kept him busy. Every night he told himself, one day, I'll have time to follow my dream. But one day never came. Years passed. Then one evening, while walking home, he saw a child playing in the street, chasing bubbles that glowed in the sunset. Omar stopped and watched. The light, the laughter, the moment, it was perfect. He took out his phone, lifted it slowly, and took a picture. Just one. When he looked at the photo later, he felt something awaken inside him. It wasn't a big plan. It wasn't a career move. It was just a small moment, but it changed something in his heart. From that day, he decided, every day, I will capture one beautiful moment. Just one photo a day. That's all. At first, it seemed simple. But as days passed, those small moments became his meditation. He began to notice things he had never seen before: the golden light on a wall, the smile of an old woman, the shadow of a tree moving in the wind. Each photo became a reminder: time is not lost when you live it fully. And 1 year later, Omar had a collection of over 300 photos, small moments that told the story of his life. He didn't just become a better photographer. He became more present, more peaceful, more alive. There is power in the small. We often wait for big chances to change our lives: a new job, a new year, a big decision. But most of life is built from small, quiet acts of awareness. One kind word. 1 minute of gratitude. One deep breath before speaking. Small things grow into great things when you do them with attention. That's how time rewards you, not through rush, but through rhythm. Think about water. A single drop seems small, but when it falls again and again, it shapes stone. That's how habits work too. Every small action, repeated with care, slowly shapes your life, like water shaping a river. You don't need 1,000 steps today. You only need 1 step, and the courage to take it again tomorrow. I want you to imagine something. It's morning. You wake up. You open your eyes, and before touching your phone, you whisper, Thank you for this day. That single sentence changes your energy. You smile softly. You stretch. You feel calm. That's the power of a small moment. It doesn't take time, but it changes your relationship with time. Now imagine, later that day, you meet someone and instead of rushing, you look at them fully and listen. That's another small moment. And maybe that person will remember your kindness for years. These are not big things, but they make your time meaningful. There's a story about a wise old man who once said, "People are not judged by how they spend their money, but by how they spend their moments." He believed that every small moment carries energy, the energy you put into your words, your thoughts, your silence. So the question becomes, what energy are you putting into your moments? When you make tea, are you rushing? Or are you feeling the warmth of the cup? When you walk, are you lost in thought? Or are you feeling the ground under your feet? When you speak to someone, are you just hearing? Or truly listening? Because each of these tiny choices changes the story of your time. Let's try something together right now. Take a slow, deep breath. Look around. Notice one small thing you never saw before. Maybe the color of the light, a sound outside, the feeling of air on your skin. Now say quietly, "I am here. This moment is mine." That's mindfulness. It doesn't need a class or a teacher, just awareness. This awareness turns ordinary seconds into golden ones. Omar's story isn't unique. There was also Mia, a language learner who always said, "I don't have time to practice English." She worked long hours, cared for her family, and by night she felt too tired to study. But one day she decided to try something small, 5 minutes of listening while cooking. Just 5 minutes. She listened to short English stories while she washed dishes or made breakfast. Weeks passed. Her ears grew stronger. Her words became smoother. She didn't realize how much she was learning until one day, she spoke with a foreign customer at work and understood every word. Her eyes filled with tears. She laughed and said, "I did it in my small moments." That's the truth. Small moments become great victories when you use them wisely. So many people wait for the perfect time to start something new, to learn, to exercise, to dream. But time is never perfect. The secret is to start now, even if it's small. Because once you start, time begins to support you. Like the wind behind a boat, it pushes you forward. But the boat must move first. Even a small movement changes everything. Here's something I often tell my students. 5 minutes of real action is better than 1 hour of perfect planning. Because small, consistent action trains your mind to trust yourself. If you read 1 page today and 1 tomorrow, soon you'll have read a book. If you speak 1 new English sentence every day, soon you'll be fluent. If you take 1 quiet pause every morning, soon your mind will be peaceful. This is the math of time. Small multiplied by consistent equals great. Do you remember how, in the earlier section, we talked about balance and focus? Here's where it connects. When you fill your small moments with purpose, balance becomes natural. Because every small act of awareness is a seed of peace. And when peace grows, time slows. You begin to notice that you don't need more hours. You just need more presence inside the hours you already have. There's another story, this one about an old gardener. He spent every morning caring for his plants. Someone once asked him, "Why do you spend so much time on something so small? These flowers don't live forever." The old man smiled and said, "Neither do I. But every day they bloom, they remind me that time is a gift, not a guarantee." That answer carries deep wisdom. We often think time belongs to us, but it doesn't. It's only borrowed. And what we do with it, the small acts of love, learning, and kindness, becomes our legacy. So maybe the question is not, how much time do I have? Maybe the question is, how alive am I in the time I have? That changes everything. When you start living your small moments fully, You don't need to chase happiness, it begins to find you. Try this small daily challenge. Every day, choose one small moment to do with full attention. It could be drinking your morning coffee slowly, saying thank you to someone with a real smile, taking 3 deep breaths before you open your phone, writing one sentence in English with feeling. Do it with your whole heart. Notice how time feels different during that 1 minute. That's your practice. That's your growth. I once met a young man who told me I wasted so many years. I looked at him and said softly, no. You only lost connection with your moments. But the moment you notice, you start again. He smiled. His eyes filled with hope. That's the beauty of time. It always lets you begin again. You can't go back and change the past. But you can always start now, and that now becomes your future. So, if you ever feel lost, or late, or behind, remember this. Time forgives quickly. It doesn't hold your mistakes. It only asks one thing from you, to come back. Come back to the small moment you are in. Breathe. Feel. Begin again. That's how you master time. Not by running faster, but by returning sooner. Say this with me, slowly and clearly. Small moments build great lives. I use my time with awareness. Every second is a new beginning. These simple sentences are not just words, they are ways of thinking. And when your thinking changes, your time transforms. Imagine your life 1 year from now. You kept noticing the small things. You gave attention to your moments. You took small, real actions. How different would your life feel? You might smile more. You might speak English with more confidence. You might wake up each day feeling calmer, clearer, and freer. That's the quiet power of small moments. They build a life that feels peaceful from the inside out. So tonight, before you sleep, do one thing. Close your eyes. Think of one small moment from your day that made you feel thankful. Maybe a smile, a sound, a kind word, a simple success. Hold it in your heart for a few seconds. Say, that was a good moment. Then let it go. Because gratitude is how we tell time, I see you. I value you. And when you do that, time begins to serve you beautifully. When people talk about time, they often talk about how much they have, how many years, how many hours, how many days are left. But the truth is, the number doesn't matter. What matters is what you do with it. Your time is your story. Every word you say, every action you take, every quiet thought, they become the sentences and paragraphs of your life. And one day, when you look back, you'll see that your story was not written by your plans or your dreams, but by the way you lived your moments. Let me tell you one last story. There was a teacher named Elena. She taught English in a small town. Her students loved her, not because she was strict or famous, but because she made every class feel alive. When she spoke, time seemed to slow down. When she listened, you felt seen, really seen. One day, a student asked her, "Miss, how do you stay so calm and happy all the time?" Elena smiled and said, "I am not always calm. But every morning I tell myself, today is not forever. So I will give it my best." That small habit, that morning whisper, shaped her days. Years later, after she retired, her old students gathered to thank her. They said things like, "You changed my life. You helped me believe in myself. You made me love learning." Elena looked around and smiled softly. She didn't have a big house or lots of money, but her time had become her legacy, a collection of kind moments that lived inside other people's hearts. That's the real power of time. So now, I want you to think, what will your legacy be? Maybe it's the patience you show your children. Maybe it's the encouragement you give a friend. Maybe it's the example you set by learning, growing, and never giving up. Your legacy doesn't have to be loud. It only has to be real. Time, like a quiet teacher, keeps asking us one question. What will you leave behind? Not in money. Not in things. but in moments. Because that's what people remember, the way you made them feel, the kindness you shared, the energy you brought into their days. When you start using your time with purpose, you begin to live not just for yourself, but for the story your life will tell. Here's something to remember. You don't need to change the whole world. You only need to touch one life, and your time will already have meaning. That's how legacies begin, one small act, done with love. Do you remember Omar, the photographer? Mia, the English learner? The old gardener and the wise teacher? They all had one thing in common. They didn't wait for the perfect time. They created meaning from the time they had. And that's what you can do too. Maybe your story starts today. Maybe this very moment right now as you listen is the beginning of something new. Maybe it's the moment you decide to be more present. Learn something small every day. Speak kindly to others and to yourself. Use your time not for worry, but for wonder. Because when you choose how to spend your moments, you begin to create a life that feels peaceful and proud, a life that means something. If you've listened this far, I want you to pause for a few seconds. Take a slow breath in. Hold it. Now let it go. That breath, that small, invisible action, is proof that you're alive in this moment. You can feel it right now. That's where your power lives, in awareness. Time doesn't belong to the past or the future. It belongs to the present. To you. To this heartbeat. To this breath. So don't wait for the right day to begin. Begin now. Even the smallest action, a single kind word, a short English sentence, a small moment of peace, can change the direction of your story. Let's say these words together slowly. I choose to live with purpose. I use my time wisely. My moments matter. I am building my legacy one small step at a time. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be, because every moment you wake up, breathe, and try again is a victory. Don't measure your time by the clock. Measure it by the love you give, the learning you keep, the calm you grow inside yourself. The future is not a place you arrive at. It's something you create, second by second, word by word, step by step. So go gently, go bravely, and go presently. Because your time is the greatest story you'll ever tell, and it begins right now. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. You've listened, learned, and imagined with your heart open, and that means you've already taken one big step forward on your English journey. Remember, this episode was not only about time. It was about life. About slowing down, noticing small things, and making each moment count. You don't need perfect English to live with purpose. You don't need perfect words to speak with meaning. All you need is a little patience, a little practice, and a kind voice inside you that says, keep going. Every day, just listen a bit more. Speak a bit more. Write a little. Smile often. And keep learning English, not just with your mind, but with your heart. If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen again tomorrow. Try repeating some sentences aloud. Feel the rhythm. Let the words become part of your voice. And if you found peace or inspiration here, share it with a friend. Maybe they need this reminder too, that time is precious and learning is a beautiful way to use it. On Mr. English Lab, we believe every listener can become a storyteller, someone who speaks with confidence, clarity, and emotion. And you, my friend, are already on that path. So as you go back to your day, take a deep breath, smile gently, and say to yourself, my time is my story, and today I choose to live it well. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep walking your Mr. English Lab.